What does that bumper sticker say? Don't mess with Texas? Well, I'm about to not follow that advice. You see, Texas has put itself front and center in the national debate over immigration and is leading the way among 26 states, suing the federal government to stop the lawful and sensible executive actions introduced by the president. The court case that has gotten so much national attention is Texas versus the United States. The 25 other states with Republican governors and attorney generals who are suing the country play second fiddle to Texas. A week ago, in the Fifth Circuit in New Orleans, a 3-judge panel issued a split decision. They did not issue a stay to the injunction of the president's executive actions imposed by a lower court, you guessed it, in Texas. 2 out of 3 judges ruled that Texas would likely be found to have standing to bring the lawsuit because Texas would have to issue more driver's licenses to long-term Texas residents. Now, please note that we're not talking about free driver's licenses. We're talking about driver's licenses at the same cost everyone else pays. As a matter of fact, they could raise the price of the driver's licenses. But somehow, having more licensed drivers who can drive legally in Texas and across the country and who know the rules of the road is an unreasonable burden on the state of Texas, according to the politicians who run the state. And so Texas is holding up the implementation of the program around the country for as many as 4 million people who live in American families. Who would these licensed drivers be? They would be immigrants who have U.S. citizen children. They would have lived and worked in American neighborhoods for years, shopped at the same grocery stores, and taken their kids to the same parks and schools as citizens do. They would have submitted their fingerprints for a criminal background check at their own expense. So while most Americans no longer believe we should be trying to deport all 11 million undocumented immigrants, and especially not those with deep roots in U.S. with families, the politicians who run the state of Texas believe we should. Lived in the U.S. for 5 years or more, 10, 15, drive to work anyway, own a business that employs citizens? Too bad. The Republican leaders in Texas do not want you to be able to work on the books. Pay your full share of local and federal taxes and pay for a driver's license so you could drive legally. No, that would be a burden. Reality and Texas should really get to know one another. Now, let's remember that this is the same set of Texas politicians, including the governor, and the same Republican members of Congress who are reluctant to tell some of their voters that no, in fact, President Obama does not have a secret plan to use Walmart department stores as internment camps for gun owners, which is the latest conspiracy theory promoted by Chuck Norris. We can all get a chuckle from the story about Operation Jade Helm, the alleged U.S. military invasion of Texas. But it's not as funny when we begin to realize that for many Republicans in the Republican Party in Texas, crazy is a constituency that must be dealt with delicately. So I want to end by speaking directly to the millions of families who are waiting for Texas politicians and judges to stop the delaying actions. And I will use the language many of them speak, and which God understands as well, or at least I assume he speaks Spanish because he named his only son Jesus. I will summarize my remarks first in English. The message is that we will not give up hope, cannot stop pushing for the president's implementation of the president's executive actions just because politicians have prevented something important from happening again. That is why I'm inviting people in Chicago to join me on Saturday in Little Village so we can renew our commitment to prepare ourselves for DACA and DAPA. No se rindan. Hay políticos republicanos en Tejas y en otros lugares tratando de bloquear nuestro camino hacia la implementación de DACA y DAPA. Y quieren hacernos perder la esperanza, perder la paciencia y perder nuestra determinación. Pero hay que permanecer fuertes y preparándonos a nosotros mismos, a nuestros hermanos y hermanas y nuestros vecinos para estar listos cuando la Corte finalmente resuelve a favor de los inmigrantes. Voy a seguir luchando. Si usted vive en Chicago, venga y únase a nosotros el sábado en la mañana en la iglesia Santa Inés, en la Villita. Y donde quiera que ustedes vivan, sigan luchando y preparando a sus vecinos y a ustedes mismos para mantener a nuestras familias unidas y asegurándonos de que no estemos deportando a aquellos que son un gran valor a nuestro país. Gracias, Mr. Speaker. I yield back.
The gentleman provide a